Good morning. Welcome to Kyle Baker. Today's topic is Shabbos. Is this what you call rest? And I'll begin with the following situation or question that happened, and it's a question that I get often. Last Friday, we did a Shabbos experience in Uptown, where we invited local community to come and have a Shabbos dinner with us. I walked back, it's about 4 miles, a little over an hour walk, and people asked me, why don't you just get a ride? I understand you can't drive, innocent question. It's your day of rest, you can't drive. However, maybe you could get a ride, take an Uber or a train, or maybe have someone, give you a ride. That's not rest. You have to walk back at night over an hour. Baruch Hashem, it wasn't too cold, but could have been. That's not rest. And it's a general question that we ask. If you want me to have a day of rest, if you're giving me a day that I'm supposed to relax and have rest, then let me do it my way. Maybe a little music in the background. Maybe we could have coffee, fresh coffee from the brewer. We could just do it now. Maybe we could do a little barbecuing. I'll do my version of relaxing, my version of resting. And yet Torah is very specific. And Torah tells us how we're meant to have that rest. The question is why? Is it about rest or is it about some type of ritual? I say this because our parsha Vayakil begins where Moshe gathers all the Yidden and he tells them the mitzvah of Shabbos. These are the things that Hashem commanded you to do. You can look inside the Chumash. Vayakil Moshe is called As B'nai Yisrael. Moshe gathers all of the Yidden. Vayimer Aleim, he says to them, Eila hadvarim. These are the things that Hashem said that you should do. And these things refer to the 39 main prohibitions of Shabbos, which we're not going to get into all of them right now. And then he continues and he says, Sheishes yamim te'asem malacha, 6 days the work should be done. V'vayim hashvi, but on the 7th day, Yeh lechem kodesh, it'll be holy for you, you'll sanctify it. Shabbos Shabbosin LaHashem. Kol eisavei melacha yumas. It'll be a Shabbos, a holy day for Hashem. Anyone that does work on this day, the punishment is yumas. And he goes on to talk about not lighting a fire on Shabbos. This is a parsha which took place the day after the original Yom Kippur. The original Yom Kippur was after Moshe Rabbeinu went onto the mountain. He went to receive the second set of tablets to get Hashem to forgive the Jewish people for the sin of the golden calf, and he attains this atonement for the Jewish people. And Moshe Rabbeinu was coming down from the mountain the next day. The first message that he tells the Jewish people is what? Keep Shabbos. Work 6 days, 6 days a week, the work should get done. And on the 7th day, you should rest. Which is interesting that this is the first thing that he says. This is his important message. This is his welcome after we receive the atonement. There was once a family, the Newport family, that lived in Berlin just before the World War II. And when the war broke out, the Newport family had resources, money, connections, and they managed to have the family moved to Amsterdam. Really, they escaped. And they got out to Amsterdam in exchange of an astronomical amount of money. They come to Amsterdam, and when they get there, they found an attic in the city. They went up into this attic, and that's where they stayed for 3 years. Over 1,000 days, the Newport family was in that attic, never left once. Never even went next to the window for fear that maybe somebody would see them and report them. So here you have this family trying to survive. They didn't have much with them. They had a Gemara Ksubas, and they had a Mishnah Brura, Halachas of Shabbos, and a Tilim. One day, the father of the family took ill. He really wasn't feeling well, and it was dangerous. He needed medicine. They figured out a way to get the message through someone to someone else, the underground of Amsterdam, and they managed to get him medicine. The medicine arrived to that attic on Shabbos morning. He opens the medicine, and he sees right away it's really bitter. It's going to be not fun to take this medicine. He figures, wait this amount of days. I'll wait till tonight. When Shabbos ends, I'll take the medicine. I want to have that unpleasant experience on Shabbos of this medicine. So he waits till after Shabbos. After Shabbos, someone comes frantically running into the attic. Don't eat that medicine. Don't touch the medicine. Don't take any more of that medicine. He's like, what happened? There was a mistake in the pharmacy where we got this from, and that's not the medication for you. That's actually a poison to kill mice. And if he would have had that, he would have had tremendous suffering, and being without having access to medical care and the condition that he was already in, he would have died in tremendous pain and suffering. Miraculously, he was saved, and they made it through the war, and they got on a ship, and they eventually ended up in Eretz Yisrael in Israel. His son, Yehoshua, decided to dedicate his life to writing a sefer on the laws of Shabbos. It's a very famous sefer. Many communities use it. It's called Shmiras Shabbos Kihilchasa, the blue book, actually 2 volumes, over 800 pages. It goes through a concise manner explaining the laws of Shabbos, what to do, what not to do, who, when, where, why, what applies, culling from all of the opinions together in a very concise, clear, understandable manner. Let's talk a little bit about Shabbos. It's the first mitzvah of this parsha. It's the first message of Moshe Rabbeinu to us after we receive forgiveness from Hashem of sinning with the golden calf. What happened on Shabbos? Why do we even have Shabbos? So, of course, if we go back to Ma'aseh Bereshis, creation of the world, Hashem tells the Jewish people that, or rather, the entire world is before the Jewish nation, even before Avraham Avinu. He says that Hashem worked on 6 days and rested on the 7th. Therefore, we have to rest on the 7th day. If we take it further, it says, look specifically at the words, it says, Vayonach bayom hashvi. That, excuse me. Thank you. That Moshe Rabbeinu, that Hashem worked for 6 days and he rested on the 7th. Okay. Is that a strange concept? God rested? Why does Hashem have to rest? He doesn't have to rest. He's not exhausted. It was a hard work. He worked the whole week. And listen, now every man's got to take a break. That doesn't apply to God. And that's when it talks about creation, it says Vayonach. We say it in Kiddush, we'll say it tonight, Vayonach bayom hashvi. What happens, or tomorrow rather, or the Kiddush and Shabbos day, but what happens in Parshas Ki Sisa, a little further on, a few parshas ago, last week, when it says about Shabbos, it says even more than Vayonach, not just he rested, it says Vayinofash. Vayinofash implies a real relaxation. Rashi says, anytime it says Vayinofash, it means Lashon Nefesh. It's returning the soul. You're really resting up. There's 2 types of rest. There's a rest when a person is tired. Then there's heavy exhaustion. They go to sleep and his soul kind of gets back to itself. It's a much deeper type of rest. And Hashem uses that term, that on Shabbos, Vayinofash, he rested. Really? Hashem needs to take a break. He needs a rest. He's so tired with a lot of work. It doesn't apply, right? Hashem is actually the one that it says, in the morning blessings that we say every day. We thank Hashem for many different blessings and things that He's given to us in our lives. And one of the things that we say, of course, is that He gives us strength. He's the one that gives strength. He doesn't need strength. He's not tired. What's this idea that Hashem had to rest? So Rashi, of course, tells us that it's not about resting, or it's not about Hashem being tired. It's for us to understand. Very often the Torah speaks to us in human terminology, not that God has a body, and not that he gets exhausted or tired or fatigued. However, it's we, the humans, are learning this, and we're understanding it, so we understand this concept. Working 6 days, resting on the 7th. Doing this and resting on the 7th. So that's why Torah tells us this term that Hashem worked and he rested. The concept is still needs further explanation because we keep on underscoring this. It's not like we had it in the Torah. We had it, Hashem tells us he rested on Shabbos. You keep on mentioning the idea, and we had a technical issue with the Facebook Live, and we're now back live. So I want to just recap here for a moment. The parsha tells us Vayakhel. Moshe gathered the Jewish people. He gave us the mitzvah of Shabbos. Shabbos, it says, work for 6 days, rest on the seventh. Many people don't realize it's actually a mitzvah to work. It's not just a mitzvah to rest. It's a mitzvah to work and to rest on the seventh. Now, the terminology that's used in Torah multiple times is that Hashem worked 6 days and he rested on the seventh day. And our question is, how do you tell people to rest? Because Hashem rested. Was he tired? Was Hashem exhausted? How could that be? He's the one that gives us strength. Our central question today is, why am I forced to have Shabbos in a particular way? If I want to rest, let me rest my way. Maybe my way is to go horseback riding, which is not allowed on Shabbos. Maybe it's rollerblading. Maybe it is to listen to music. But allow me to do my rest my way. If Hashem says you have to rest this way, that's not necessarily rest. How does this work? Was living in England. He was very wealthy. And really, he didn't, as in his youth, he didn't have much education. But as he got older, he tried to make a living. He got involved and wanted to get a seat on the London Stock Exchange. At that time, it was prohibited for more than 12 Jews to be on this in the stock exchange, London Stock Exchange. Only 12. He managed to get one of those seats. And what he was occupied with was buying and selling stocks. He was a broker. Bonds and other type of notes that he was doing, and he was essentially working for many, many lords in England and earning a beautiful income. He was very wealthy and very involved in Jewish causes. He was instrumental in saving a lot of Jews, and he did everything he could with his connections and his money to help those in need. And this Moses Montefiore was once, he had a rule, actually a golden rule. Everyone knew. Friday afternoon, I shut my office and I don't work. And at that time, on Saturday, the stock market was open in London, but he closed on Shabbos. I'll be back Sunday. That didn't work. I'll be back on Monday. And this was every single week, no matter what. And all the lords knew it, that Moses Montefiore, when it comes Shabbos, he's gone. You can't reach him. He doesn't show up. He's not available. Doesn't matter what happens. Moses Montefiore is doing Shabbos. One Friday night, he's sitting in his house with his family. He made Kiddush. He has some very good challah. He's enjoying fish and singing songs, Shabbos songs, together with his family. It's a really, really beautiful atmosphere. And he hears a knock on the door. Comes to the door. Yes, can I help you? There's a messenger from a lord, a very influential, a very successful, and essentially a client of his, who would buy and sell a lot of things. And the messenger says as follows: Lord so-and-so sent me to come talk to you and to ask you that you should come see him right away. He needs to do a particular deal. It's extremely important. And he knows it's your Shabbos. He wouldn't ask you if he didn't need it. Please come. So Moses Montefiore looks at the messenger and he says, I'm sorry. I appreciate the fact that this Lord trusts me to do all of his financial dealings here in London. And I'm honored by that opportunity. And with all due respect, please tell him that it's my Shabbos, and Shabbos is a day of rest. I don't do any work. He says, are you sure you want to tell this to, Lord so-and-so? He says, yes. He leaves. 45 minutes go by. There's another knock on the door. The messenger comes in, and this time he's holding an envelope. And he says, here is an envelope with a handwritten message from Lord so-and-so. He really needs you to come. He has a very important business deal. He needs you to broker it. Come now. He says, I'm sorry, I told you it's Shabbos. I don't work on Shabbos. So he says, Moses Montefiore, open the letter. He says, I don't open letters on Shabbos. Well, I'm going to open it and read it to you. He opens it up and he starts to read. My dear friend Moses Montefiore, I am surprised that you're not answering my call to come meet with me to do this brokerage job and do this business deal. It's extremely crucial. And if you don't come and I take another broker, we're never doing business again. This was one of his very important clients. He looks at the messenger and he says, please convey with my deepest respects that I'm not able to come because it's Shabbos. Whatever happens, happens. Okay, he leaves. After Shabbos, Sunday morning, there's another knock on the door. And a messenger comes back. The Lord wants to see you right away, this English Lord. So he says, okay, I'm coming. His wife turns to him. Her name was Yehudis, and she says, Moshe, you sure you want to go alone? I mean, he's obviously very upset at you. He probably lost a lot of money because of you not going on Shabbos. Aren't you afraid? He said, we say in the Hallel, Hashem li lo ira. God is to me, God is with me. I'm not afraid. Why should I be afraid? And he went. And he comes to this English Lord's mansion. He walks in, and he's greeted with a big smile and a hug. He says, thank you, Moses, for not coming to see me on Shabbos. What happened? I don't need any business deals Friday night. I know I can't talk to you, but I was having a conversation, actually a party, with a few other of the English lords and noblemen. And they said, Jews, all they care about is money. They say it's religion. They say it's their God. You know what they worship? They worship money. And I'm telling you that if you'll offer them large money, they'll break all their religion. And I said, no. My Moses, my broker, he'll never break Shabbos. Oh, yeah? Why don't you call him here now? Tell him it's a big deal. So I made a bet with my friend, and I sent him. I sent the messenger. And then you said no. I sent another messenger that you're going to lose this entire relationship. We are not doing business again if you don't come on Shabbos. So, but you didn't come. And thank you because I won the bet. It's a fascinating story, but if you think about it, is that really rest? Is that what Hashem wants, to rest on Shabbos? What if I want to make a phone call? What if I want to get a ride? Why is Shabbos, the day of rest, consist of don't do anything that's electric, don't do any type of work, even if it's not hard labor? How does this all work, and how are we supposed to understand this? The Rebbe speaks in a sikha, in a talk, and he explains as follows. He says that the idea of Shabbos allows the Yid the opportunity to enter into a realm where you're a guest in this world. This world is not really your place. You're just passing through, which means a whole week you're busy and you're involved and you're running around and you're doing your responsibilities and your duties and you're making a living, let's call it. But it comes Shabbos and you step away from this entire world. It's not just a physical rest. It's a detachment from the world the way we know it. And when a person does that on Shabbos, he's still in this world. We're still human, we're still eating, we're still drinking, and so on and so forth. But we're like a guest in this world. Rashi says, what does Shabbos Shabbosin mean? Menuchas margoya v'le menuchas arai. It's a true rest. You're being calm. You're relaxing. It's not just, I'm not going to do hard labor. You're stepping away from everything. We mentioned before, the pasuk says that you should rest on Shabbos. 6 days a week the work shall be done, and rest on the Shabbos. In our parsha, it doesn't say you should work for 6 days. It says the work shall be done for 6 days, which implies that it's getting done on its own. What does that mean? It shall be done. It means do it. When you come on Shabbos and you have an attitude that everything is taken care of already. Right now it's Shabbos. I can't do anything for my week that I missed. I can't fix anything, correct anything, make any phone calls. Whatever happened, and now it's Shabbos. Our approach has to be, everything has been taken care of. Everything has been done. This is the true sense of what Shabbos really means. Let's go back to our question. Did Hashem need to rest? Was he tired? He wasn't tired. But there's different stages of relationship from God to the world. And the relationship of creation, the energy that Hashem uses while he creates, is a lower level energy. And let me share this Kabbalistic principle with you. And if you have any questions, by the way, on Facebook, those that are watching, you could just ask it or comment on YouTube. I will attempt to address this later and share the video. The idea is as follows. In order for Hashem to create a world, which is a limited world, which is physical, which seems to be somewhat contradictory to God's existence, you look around, you don't really see God, you just believe in Him. It takes effort to see Him, to appreciate Him, to recognize that He's here. But Hashem wanted to create a world. And the only way to create this world is to condense His energy, in a sense, and bring a level of energy into this world which could create but won't destroy. And here's what I mean. If you want to blow up a balloon, you need air to expand it. If you put in too much air, the balloon will bust. Okay? But you need the air to expand it. So what do? You have to give the right amount of air. Not too much, not too strong, just enough to expand it into a ball, but not too much that it's going to explode. Now, if you're giving unadulterated energy, godly energy, let's call it nuclear energy that's coming through, if it's not contained, managed, measured, then it'll explode. If you want to create a physical world with godly energy, these two things don't work together. Godly energy is unbridled. It's unlimited. It just goes. And therefore, what you have to do, what Hashem did was, He condensed it. It's called, in Kabbalah, it's called a tzimtzum. It's a contraction that's going on. It's not really a contraction. It seems to us that it's a contraction, but there's a filtered amount, just the right amount of godliness to create a world, but not too much that it just explodes and all you see is spirituality. But that's a lower level. 6 days a week, Hashem is working with the world. He's creating the world. He's using the, quote, lower level of godly energy to create it. On Shabbos, it goes back to the Shabbos sense, where Hashem is in a much more intense form, which explains to us why we have an extra neshama on Shabbos. When Shabbos ends, we make Havdalah. Right? We start Shabbos with Kiddush, make a blessing on the wine, and we end Shabbos with Havdalah, again, on a becher of wine. One of the things we do at this Havdalah ceremony is the besamim. We smell something. Why do we smell this pleasant aroma, the besamim? Because we just lost an additional soul. On Shabbos, we have this extra neshama. It's called the neshama yisera. On Shabbos, this neshama is gone. And now we have this lack. After Shabbos, thank you. After Shabbos, this neshama goes away. And we have this lack within ourselves. We want to have this neshama back. So what's a spiritual pleasure that we could do in the physical sense? That's a smell. It's not food, it's an aroma. It has a spiritual component to it. So we have this smell, and the neshama appreciates this pleasant aroma. This is why Shabbos is characterized, and Hashem is prescribed a certain type of rest on this day, is do as I tell you. It's not about how you're going to describe relaxation. You know, you have certain people that say, okay, the seventh day I'm not going to work. What ends up happening? They come home, and this is their catch-up day. This is the day they go shopping. This is the day they rearrange their furniture. This is the day when they hang up all their pictures and all the errands around the house, a little fixing here and a fixing there, and take your children to this group and to that club. What really happened here? You thought it was a day off. It wasn't a day off. It's the hardest day of the week. You're not really resting. That's not Shabbos. That's not the way it was designed. You say, I want to use my phone a little bit, and I want to maybe watch something, and I want to, drive somewhere. That's not what real Shabbos is. Hashem says, refrain from all these worldly things. Don't even cook. I want you to rest. Detach from the physical world the way you know it, and enter into a spiritual reality. Spend some time praying. Spend some time learning. Spend time with family. Don't have the Shabbos in a sense where you're not technically doing your job, but you're doing many, many other difficult things, tasks, efforts, and so on. My wife's grandfather, Reb Berel Gurevich, when he was in Russia in 1946, he was just married, half a year they were married, and they were trying to escape Russia to Poland and eventually to France and to get out. In order to do so, there were false papers. They said that they're really Polish citizens and they're trying to get out. They got onto this train, grandfather and grandmother on this train. They're not, according to their papers, they're not husband and wife. Okay? They got some Polish papers for him, a Polish paper for her. And in that era, you could cross the border. It was after the war. And if you were a Polish citizen that ended up on the Russian side, although nobody could leave the Iron Curtain, if you were Polish and you were on the wrong side because of the war, there was an exception. So Jews tried to get, a lot of Hasidic Jews actually tried to get these papers and get out. So they're on the train and they're waiting to receive their papers. They were reusing them, their papers coming back, and they were forging. They were waiting for their documents. She gets her document, he doesn't. And the train starts to move, and they're not sure what to do. On top of that, the authorities come on. We're checking everyone's documents. He doesn't have one. She does. They're going to take him off and arrest him. Should she get off with him? Then they'll bust her. And she's going to go to jail. And maybe the whole group, there was other people there with them that had the same deal. She stayed on the train, knowing full well that she's going to cross over that border. She'll probably never see her husband again if he ever gets out of that jail. Take him off the train, and they put him into a labor camp. Not getting into all the details right now, but they gave him a job. His job was to sew wallets, leather wallets, one of these camps. And he's here, prisoner. His wife of 6 months is gone. There's no way to contact her. According to nature, will never get out. She can't remarry because she has no divorce from him. There's no way to contact. It was a terrible situation. That's a whole story in itself about her. But I want to bring out a certain point about him and Shabbos. He comes to this camp and he's working. 3, 4, 5, 6 days go by, and then it's Shabbos. And you have to sit there and sew these wallets. Now, really, if it's a matter of life and death, you could break Shabbos. But he's in the camp and he decided, no. I'm here. I'm not going to eat non-kosher food. Even if I starve, I'll have some bread. I'll have some potatoes. I'll trade my soup with somebody else. I'm not breaking Shabbos. I'm not breaking kosher. And Shabbos, I'm not going to break it either. Okay. So he comes to this work in the Shabbos morning, and he has to sew the leather. He doesn't do it. So they tell him, if you don't do it, you're going to get in trouble. I'm not feeling well. His friends that were working there, not friends, but other people that were working, they hid him under this blanket, and it was extremely hot. And then the supervisor caught him and said, why are you not doing your work? So he gets back on. He's trying to do the work. He's not really doing it. He's faking it. He's not breaking Shabbos. Finally, he gets summoned. He gets summoned to the office. The officer, and he's on the way there, and he knows why he's summoned. He's not working on Shabbos. He's going to get in trouble. What's he going to say? What excuse is he going to come up with? Why is he not doing it? He's not feeling well. His hands are shaking. He was afraid. He was scared. What's he going to say? He walks in. There are 3 people sitting, 3 officers sitting by the table. And one guy turns to him in Yiddish and he says, "It's for Shabbos, yeah?" He blew his cover. He says, "You're not working because it's Shabbos, ah?" He understood. The guy had a Jewish education. He ended up in the KGB offices or whatever it was. He's stuck. What's he going to say now? I'm sick? He says, "Yeah, it's Shabbos. I don't work on Shabbos." He says, "Get out of here." And he walks out. And they're talking and talking and talking. He's waiting. He doesn't know what to do. Finally, they call him in and they say, "Listen, we have a problem here in this camp. People are stealing leather from the storehouse. We're doing these leather wallets as part of the quota for the prisoners, and people are stealing it. We put one guard, another guard, nobody's honest. We decided because you have such integrity to your religion, and you're willing not to break Shabbos, even though it's cost you your life easily. We shot here, and he knew that. But you're willing to do that. You're the one we want to guard the storehouse." And that became his job. He ended up being in this prison for 2 years. Miraculously, he got out, and he ended up getting out of Russia, and he was reunited with my wife's grandmother, and the rest is history. But during those 2 years that he was in jail, he enjoyed, shouldn't call it enjoying, but he didn't work too hard. He was able to keep Shabbos, and he suffered in many, many ways, but he was able to sit there and oversee. Why? Because he understood Shabbos is not what I consider rest. Hashem decided what does rest mean. God didn't rest because he was tired. He doesn't get tired. It's not about your definition of relaxation. Hashem said, I want you to have a spiritual reality for 24 hours, detached from the world. Don't drive and don't get a ride and don't allow yourself to even cook or other things. Spend time with your family, daven, learn, do something a little bit more spiritual, spend time with yourself. That's what Shabbos is about. And this is the very first thing that Moshe Rabbeinu tells the Jewish people when he comes down from the mountain. We just received forgiveness for worshiping the golden calf. It was a long 3 months. It was actually more than that, 120 days. And he comes down. And now he says, because he was on the mountain, just to clarify, he was on the mountain 3 times. First time Moshe was on the mountain after we received the Torah to go get all the details from God. Then he came down and he found the Jewish people worshiping the golden calf. He broke the tablets. Then he went up on the mountain for another 40 days to pray to Hashem to forgive the Jewish people. Then he came back down and spoke to the Jewish people. Then he went back up a 3rd time. And he finally came down on Yom Kippur and said, Salachti kidvarecha, Hashem told me that I have forgiven you the way you have said, which is, by the way, why Yom Kippur is Yom Kippur. It's a day of atonement historically. And every year on this day, we ask for forgiveness. But what's the first message that Moshe tells us? He didn't say, don't worship idols ever again. He didn't say, believe in one God. He said, guys, work 6 days, rest on the 7th. You want to have that relationship with Hashem. You want to be able to live your life in a way that you're not being turned to idols. And there's many forms of idols. Thank God we're not worshiping calves or the sun today. But there are other types of idols that people worship. It becomes their God, so to speak. That's all they care for. That's their drive. That's they're absorbed by it. Come Shabbos and we step back. Come Shabbos and we say, you should rest on this day. That's the atonement for the golden calf. Do Shabbos, keep it, try it. You start with lighting Shabbos candles, go to shul and daven, learn, spend time and enjoy the Shabbos day, the gift of rest that Hashem has given to us. Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful Shabbos, and see you, God willing, on Monday morning for more learning. If you like this video, like it, share it. Any comments or questions, please post it, and I'll do my best to answer, whether it's on YouTube or on Facebook. A wonderful Erev Shabbos.
Wow.